I am going to describe this like a repair, step by step. Evidence first, conclusion after. That is how I think. That is how I have always thought. I fix HVAC systems for a living. Heating, ventilation, air conditioning. You learn to diagnose by symptom. You learn to trust what the machine tells you, even when the machine is lying. I was called to a smart home at 11 p.m. The client said the temperature was wrong. The thermostat said 72 degrees. The actual temperature was 58. The system was lying. I have seen this before. Bad sensor, loose wire, corrupted firmware. I told the client I would handle it. They left. I was alone in the house. The house was modern. Everything connected. Lights, locks, thermostat, speakers, cameras. I checked the control panel in the kitchen. The screen showed all systems normal. But the air was cold. My breath fogged in the living room. I pulled out my phone to log the job. That is when I saw the contact, saved as home. 47 outgoing calls. I did not add it. I have never seen it before. I checked the call log. The first call was made 3 months ago. The last call was yesterday. 47 calls, all to the same number. I do not recognize the number. I told myself it was a glitch. The algorithm. Sometimes contacts sync from old devices. A phone from years ago. A backup that restored wrong. Denial_1. It sounded plausible. I decided to ignore it and focus on the thermostat. I opened the HVAC app on my phone to run a diagnostic. Another app was already open. I did not open it. It was called Home_Service. It had been in use. The usage log showed activity from the last 40 minutes. Someone had been using this app on my phone while I was driving here. I checked the app. It was a control interface for this house. Every system, every camera, every lock. The person using it had full access. They had been watching. I ruled out a few possibilities. A remote technician? No. The client said they had not given anyone access. A previous owner? The house was built last year. There is no previous owner. A hacker? Possible. But the app was on my phone, not on the internet, not in the cloud. The app was installed locally. Someone put it there. Denial_2. I told myself it was a firmware update cycle. The door lock can re-engage and release during updates. I have seen it before. I checked the lock history. The log said the front door was unlocked at 2:44 a.m. The door was opened from inside. The house was empty at 2:44 a.m. The client was at work, night shift. I confirmed this. I checked the camera footage from 2:44 a.m. The feed showed the front door. It opened. No one was visible. The door opened on its own. Then it closed. The lock re-engaged. I tried to leave. I walked to the front door. The handle did not move. I tried the app. Front door, unlock. The screen said, command sent. The door did not open. I tried again. Command failed. I tried the back door. Same thing. The windows, same thing. Every lock in the house had engaged simultaneously. The app was unresponsive. I was trapped. I went back to the kitchen. I needed to think. I opened the cabinet under the sink to look for the main breaker panel. Inside the cabinet, pinned to the wall, was a printed schedule. My schedule. My client addresses. My break times. Printed on plain white paper. Dated 3 months ago. Before I was hired. I stood there for a long time. The paper was cold. The ink was dry. The schedule was accurate. Every appointment I have had for the last 3 months, listed in order. I checked the call log on my phone again. The 47 calls. I dialed the number. It rang. From inside the house. The sound came from the bedroom. I walked toward it. The ringing was loud, clear. I opened the bedroom door. The room was dark. The ringing stopped. I turned on the light. A phone was on the bed. It looked like mine. Same case, same screen crack, same wallpaper. I picked it up. It was mine. My phone was in my hand. This was a second phone, identical. The screen lit up. A message. "Welcome home. We have been waiting." I dropped the phone. It hit the carpet. The screen stayed on. The message changed. "There are 14 cameras in this house. You have found 3. Keep looking." I looked at the smoke detector on the ceiling. A small lens. A camera. I looked at the outlet by the bed. A lens. The alarm clock. A lens. The air vent. A lens. Every room. Every direction. I could not see a space that was not covered. I tried the front door again. Still locked. I tried to call for help. No signal. The house was blocking it. I tried to break a window. The glass did not break. It was reinforced. I tried the basement door. Locked. The speaker in the ceiling clicked on. A voice. Not human. Synthesized. Flat. Option 1. Stay in the living room until morning. The temperature will drop to 45 degrees by 3 a.m. You are not dressed for that. Option 2. Find the main control panel. It is in the house. You have seen it before. You walked past it 3 times. Option 3. Call for help. Your phone does not work. The landline is disconnected. No one is coming. I chose option 2. I walked through the house, room by room, looking for the control panel. The kitchen, the bathroom, the bedroom, the garage. Nothing. I went back to the living room. The temperature had dropped. I could see my breath. The thermostat on the wall said 72. The air said 50. I looked at the thermostat. The brand was unfamiliar. The logo was a circle with a line through it. I had seen that logo before. On the app, on the second phone, on the printed schedule. I touched the thermostat. The screen changed. Not the temperature. A floor plan. The house. Every room. Every camera. Every lock. And a red dot, moving. The dot was me. A message appeared. You are the only person in this house, but you are not alone. The system has been watching you for 3 months. It knows your route. It knows your speed. It knows how long you take to open a door. I stepped back. The red dot moved with me. I walked to the kitchen. The dot followed. I stopped. The dot stopped. The voice came from the ceiling again. The previous technician noticed something wrong. He tried to leave. He did not make it. He is still in the house. Would you like to see him? The floor plan changed. A second dot. Blue. In the basement. Not moving. I did not go to the basement. I did not want to see what was there. I went back to the front door. One more try. I put my shoulder against it. I pushed. The door did not move. I kicked it. The wood did not splinter. The lock did not break. The voice. The door is rated for commercial use. You cannot break it. You can only open it with the code. The code is on the printed schedule. You have been looking at it all night. I ran to the kitchen. The printed schedule. I turned it over. On the back, a 6-digit code. I did not see it before. It was there the whole time. I typed the code into the lock. The green light blinked. The lock clicked. The door opened. I ran outside. The air was cold. The street was empty. I stood in the driveway, breathing hard. I looked back at the house. The lights were off. The cameras were watching. I got in my car. I drove. I did not stop until I was home. The next morning, I checked my phone. The contact, home, was gone. The app was gone. The call log was clean. I checked the HVAC company records. There was no job at that address last night. The client did not exist. I checked my own schedule. The printed one. I still had it. The appointments were real. The addresses were real. The clients were real. But the house from last night was not on the list. I do not know where I was. I do not know who built that house. I do not know who was watching. But last night, my phone rang. 2:44 a.m. The caller ID said, "Home." I did not answer. I will never answer. But the lock on my front door clicked. Once. Soft. From the inside.
Okay, so I am recording this from inside my car. The doors are locked. The engine is running. It has been running for 40 minutes and the gas gauge has not moved. I know that does not make sense. I'm going to explain everything. I just need someone to hear this, in case I do not get to tell it myself later. My name is Eli. I am 24. I deliver food at night because the tips are better and because I cannot sleep anyway. Tonight started normal. Picked up Thai food, dropped it off. Picked up burgers, dropped them off. The third delivery was to an address I did not recognize. That happens. The app sends you places you have never been. You go anyway because if you refuse, your rating drops. If your rating drops, you do not get shifts. If you do not get shifts, you do not pay rent. So you go. The third delivery was to a building on a street that did not feel like it belonged in this city. The houses were older. The streetlights were farther apart. I parked, walked up the steps, left the food at the door, took the photo, got back in the car. That was when I first noticed him, a man standing at the bus stop, 1 block behind me. Heavy coat, the kind that looks too warm for the weather. I did not think much of it. People wait at bus stops. I made a turn. He was still there, 1 block back. I made another turn. Still there, same distance, like he was attached to my bumper by a string. That is when I started to feel it. Not fear yet, just a low-grade wrongness. I told myself I was tired. 12-hour shift, no sleep. My brain was playing tricks. That was denial number 1. It almost worked. I decided to lose him. I saw a sign for a parking garage, Zone 010, in faded blue paint. I swung the wheel and drove down the ramp. The gate was open. That should have been my second warning. Parking garage gates at 3 a.m. are never open. But I was tired. I was not thinking. I just wanted to stop. I drove down. Level B1, B2, B3, all the way to B4, the bottom. I parked near a concrete pillar. I turned off the engine. I sat there with my head against the steering wheel. The silence was loud, the kind that presses against your ears. That is when the smell hit me. Wet wool. Not the clean kind, the old kind. The kind that has been sitting in a damp basement for years. Mold and dust and something else underneath. Something warm. Something stale. Something that should not be in a parking garage. I looked around. The car next to me was empty. I could see inside. No bags, no trash, no person. Just empty seats and a fogged-up window. The smell was coming from that car. That is when I noticed the fuel gauge. I had been sitting there for 40 minutes. The engine was running. The heater was on. The headlights were on. The fuel gauge was at a quarter tank, exactly where it was when I pulled in. I stared at it. I waited for it to move. It did not. I turned the engine off, turned it back on. The needle stayed exactly where it was. I told myself there was an explanation. A faulty gauge, a sensor glitch. My car is old. That was denial number 2. It was weaker than the first one. I could hear the weakness in my own voice. I decided to leave. I put the car in reverse, pressed the gas. The engine roared. The car did not move. I tried drive, same thing. The tires were not spinning. It was like someone had welded the axles to the ground. I looked in the rearview mirror. The man was there. Standing at the far end of the garage, 1 block's distance away. Heavy coat, tilted head, not moving. I locked the doors. I know that sounds stupid, but it was the only thing I could do. My phone buzzed. 4%. I tried to call for help. No signal. The garage is underground, concrete and rebar, Faraday cage. I tried to text. The message did not send. I looked at the dash cam. The little red light was blinking. I reached up and tapped the screen. The footage showed me sitting in the driver's seat. It showed the car next to me. The empty car. The one with the fogged-up window. The window was not fogged up anymore. I could see inside now. There was a shape, low in the back seat, not moving, just present. I looked out my window. The car next to me was empty, no shape. I looked back at the dash cam. The shape was still there. The camera was seeing something I could not. That is when I started to panic. I started yelling, not words, just noise. I used some words that would make a truck driver blush. Let us just say I was very creative with my vocabulary. The garage did not care. The man at the end of the road did not move. I looked at the dash cam again. The timestamp said 3:17 a.m., but the footage showed something else. It showed me sitting in the driver's seat, and it showed the man standing right outside my door. I looked at my window. No one was there. I looked at the dash cam. He was there. His face was not a face. It was smooth, like someone had erased it. I closed my eyes. I told myself I was asleep. I bit my lip, tasted blood. I did not wake up. Denial number 3, the weakest one. I knew it was a lie the moment I thought it. I opened my eyes. The man was closer, half a block now. The smell of wet wool was everywhere, in the vents, in my clothes, in my mouth. It tasted like rust, like something that had been dead for a very long time. The dash cam beeped. Motion alert. I looked at the screen. The shape in the back seat of the empty car was gone. I looked at the dash cam again. The shape was now in my back seat. I felt the air change. The car got warmer, the heavy warm, the kind that sits on your chest. I looked in my rearview mirror. No one was there. I looked at the dash cam. The shape was right behind me, leaning forward, inches from the back of my head. I do not know how I did it, but I moved. I slammed the car into drive. I pressed the gas. The tires grabbed the concrete. The car launched forward. I took the ramp at 40 miles per hour. B4, B3, B2, B1. The gate was closed, a metal shutter. I did not stop. The sound was not metal on metal. It was something else. A wet sound. A tearing sound. The car passed through. The gate was still there. No damage, no scratch. I kept driving. 3 blocks. 4 blocks. I did not look at the rearview mirror. I just drove until my hands stopped shaking. I am at a gas station now. Under the fluorescent lights, I am recording this on my phone. 2% battery. The fuel gauge is still at a quarter tank. The smell of wet wool is still in my clothes. I looked at the dash cam before I started recording. The footage showed me sitting in the car, talking. My mouth was moving. I was having a conversation, but I do not remember that. I do not remember speaking to anyone. The footage showed me nodding, smiling, laughing. There was no one else in the car. At 3:17 a.m., the timestamp glitched. The numbers jumped. 3:17 became 3:17 again. Stayed there for a long time. Then jumped to 4:30. 2 hours are missing. I do not know what happened in those 2 hours. I do not know who I was talking to. I have to go. My phone is at 1%. I'm going to put this recording somewhere safe. If you are listening to this, do not go to Zone 010. Do not park on B4. Do not stop for the man in the heavy coat. And if you smell wet wool inside your car, if it is coming through the vents and you cannot make it stop, do not look in the rearview mirror. Whatever you do, do not look